going to Pain up against the Clockwork, and that pushes QO into the mid lane up against the Lina of Super, and March has to do his hard time up on the top lane. Okay, also I want to look at Hal. Let's talk more about the Morphling while we've got some time. They can be a little bit more passive in the early laning phase. What is Hal meant to build? What is his timing? And what's really the objective of this Morphling?
Generally, the two core builds for Morphling are either a very combat-oriented build with an early Manta, or it's the classic Lincoln Sphere into E-Blade build-up, which also got nerfed as E-Blade was changed to a projectile, so Morphling got hit like twice as hard. I think in this game, the E-Blade is extremely powerful for their team just because of how much magic damage the other heroes also have. And it's a pretty good way of dealing with Smart. You want to kill him in a very quick burst rather than having sustained damage that he can just outlast with his ultimate and just running in and out of fog. So I would like to see Hal with a shotgun build in this game. I think it could work with if Super has a good mid lane. And so far he's doing a
Yeah, he actually almost, if he was able to hit the Light Strike Array on QO, we'd be looking at a very one-sided lane going the way of VG Gaming, with QO able to pounce away, use his salve. And once he's level 6, QO won't really care as much about this harassment coming out from Super, because he'll just move out of vision, heal up, and then come back and do it all over again. The Laguna Blade is the only thing he'd have to be slightly concerned about. In the meantime, I also want to keep tabs on Nuts and his movements. The Witch Doctor play for MVP has made so much space. The Paralyzing Cast, they keep catching teams out away from creep waves, away from neutrals, and just having these isolated heroes getting hit by the cast. It's almost like having an extra ultimate during a team fight. Nuts' position normally perfect on that.
This game it's going to be hard for him though, because I think the way VG Gaming's lineup is set up, it makes it a lot less likely to find those incredible casts. Morphling can just dodge it.
March is dead. March should really be dead right now.
He is in a lot of trouble here.
The smoke moving up by Fenrir and FY. He's got charge, but that's the reason why FY is holding with the telekinesis, so he can drag March back. And the bash onto Hal. He does the damage, but not enough to get a kill. Morphling will take it. And VG Gaming off to a good start on their Morphling.
And this is a hero that really does not play well from behind. That's why I think the panel were, first of all, surprised because we don't see Morphling in general. But secondly, they were talking about how they needed a fighting carry early on. And Morphling is, waveform is pretty good for fighting early, but that's like everything you have. You're not really much reliable outside of that until you start getting some decent core items, such as the shotgun build. So it's very important that Hal gets his farming speed increased here, so that he can play out the game plan for VG.
Yeah. Moving forward in these items. I also want to keep tabs on March, because we did see the effect where if you look over towards what happened with EG and PPD Spirit Breaker, the lowest net worth is still having a huge impact on the game. Just charging around, you've already got a level 4 Spirit Breaker. When's this going to start to affect the other lanes? Super with the Light Strike Array is the only thing that can stop the charge in. And in fact, well, QO, they're moving up for him. Ice got both Cogs as well as the battery assault for QO. Try and break free. The Light Strike Array not going to connect, but it does not matter. The Lina still having enough damage, and QO dropping quickly. And Super with a haster, and he might go for more. Finds the stun over on Nuts, going deeper into the tree lines, and Nuts, the Paralyzing Cast around, buys some space with a rocket, and the attack gives a double kill over to VG Super.
That ends up being a pretty costly misplay here from MVP. Unfortunately for them, Febby did not get the Grave off. I think he got surprised by how fast QO got taken down, and ultimately didn't manage to get the Grave off. And that also gets Witch Doctor killed, because if he had got that Grave off, it's very likely that Lina would have chased. And at the very least, that Witch Doctor would have been able to dodge off to the right. So this is very big for VG Gaming, getting a kill on Hal and 2 kills on Super, already a 500 gold lead for them.
They're going again on top. This time the charge will be successful, however, because FY led with the telekinesis. He knew he was able to just charge himself back down to mid lane. Big March. There's a lot of stacks inside the Radiant jungle, which are going to start to be farmed up shortly. So some power leveling will be coming the way of MVP Phoenix, and they need it. They're currently 2.5k net worth behind and rapidly approaching 2k experience behind, and we're only 5 minutes into the game.
It's a kind of a, I don't want to say it's very unusual, but it's a little out of the ordinary how much experience the offlaners of both teams are getting. The Clockwork is level 5.5, minute 5:30, and so is the Spirit Breaker, more or less. He's 200 experience behind, but they're both level 5 this early. it makes for a very explosive game when you have two team fight offlaners such as Clockwork and Spirit Breaker.
March in trouble again. He should be dead right now. He try and turn for a charge through three of them, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Maybe the Shallow Grave will be up, and March, just get away from VG Gaming or else you will die. The Sonic Wave, in comes KP! While the Spirit Breaker may die, there'll be a double return as the attack flies up and kills off FY. The Morphling just decided to TP himself back out to base. Got a good rotation in from the Queen of Pain, and finally MVP Phoenix get themselves off the mark.
Hal just waited too long. I think they could have waited for him to kill the Spirit Breaker before the Grave even came off. He wanted to be sure to get the last hit. It's understandable when you're playing the Morphling in this position that you want to be greedy and secure the kill. And maybe he was missing just that little last bit of damage to secure it. And the counterplay from MVP there, really important.
Because this now is going to give momentum towards KP. Up to level 7 and also able to finish up his full treads. Still Ice now has his level 6 you were talking about. They're trying to do something with it. The leader actually rotated down to the bot lane to try and find some hook shot into Light Strike Array and Laguna, just a quick pick off and then straight back to mid, but unable to find anything, he will still return to mid.
Hero has to know there is a ward here. He's not regenerating when he's on his own cliff at nighttime. Means there has to be enough reward, but he doesn't know where exactly it is. It's of course on Lena's own cliff. This negates a lot of Slark's strength in this mid lane during nighttime, which is usually when he starts having a really big impact. First of all, from reaching level 6 around that time, and secondly, of course, because of the extra night vision this hero has.
The Mad Cow's on the charge. I think March then realized he's going to charge right through the middle of the mid lane. And he's just trying to stick just outside of vision, if possible. He was coming down for Ice. He's actually trapped here until Kuro mops up the creep wave. Wants to keep his movements a little bit more secret. I'm still wondering though, like if you do charge yourself in, can you find yourself a kill on bot lane without the Sonic Wave from KP? Is there really enough damage from MVP? We don't want to rely on 17% to win those fights.
Arch is level 6, so...
Here comes your charge, coming after Super Kuro. Just wants to dive. He's got the Shadow Dance. Light Strike Array's going to miss here. And in comes KP with a big Sonic Wave. FY getting hit by it as well. And Kuro chasing up with the Shadow Dance, just dealing out that essence of Rubik. But then Fenrir buys a little bit of space. But he'll have the Dark back. FY going to dive back behind the tower while the comms. It's March who's protected by the Shadow Grave. Charging away. He's going to get hooked. Shot it down by Ice. There were still the two attacks from the tower that were chasing him. But Ice caught on the wrong side of the river. KP still with Blink on cooldown for another 6 seconds. But has that double damage rune. He wants to go back to lane. Ice, revealing himself in the lane. QO can look for the pounce right now. Able to get down there, but no leash, but they still find the kill on Ice. Waste a bit of time, but a kill is a kill. 5-5. Meanwhile, on top lane, Hal takes out the tier 1 tower. A bigger injection of money coming into that Morphling of VG.
It's still so good for MVP to get these 3. I think QO got all 3 kills in that situation. He's also getting somewhat decent farm here in mid. He's tied with Lena. Of course, the Morphling now very far ahead because he hasn't rotated as much as the Queen of Pain has. With Kuro grabbing all of that money, it looks like he's going to be cruising toward a 10-minute Midas in that mid lane with Bottle, Wand, and a Torment Shield. This is very early. And this hero is extremely snowbally. It's one of the most snowbally carries in the game. If you get far ahead on a Slark, the game really tends to go in your favor. It's very difficult to deal with, and I don't feel like VG Gaming has a particularly good lineup against him.
MVP, they'll probably really wish they used that. Oh, actually, they get it in time. They lose their own Observer Ward, but they needed to use the Sentry or the Tango or Febby to get rid of that Obs before. The Super came down with the Sentry, and the War Battle left with just 1 Sentry Ward remaining for the Radiant side. Side's looking for another kill, so he's moved off that bottom lane, searching for an opening. 10-minute rune's going to be there too, an Invis rune for him. But he'll actually leave it with FY, so they can also move the Rubik up. Got to keep tabs on him as well. You do not want to give him anything. In fact, what does even FY look to steal here? He's going to have his level 6 as his creep wave's going to die underneath the tier 1 tower. But what's the Rubik really looking for to control MVP?
There are a couple of really cool steals. I think the main ones to look out for is the Blink from Queen of Pain. Paralyze and Cask can be really good against Slark and Spirit Breaker because they both come in close. And of course, both, I mean, a secondary mobility spell he could steal would be the Pouncer Slark. If he could grab Shadow Dance, that's generally huge, but it's a very difficult spell to steal, as Slark will usually be using another ability during Shadow Dance. And you obviously don't manage to grab it. Those are the main ones, in addition to, you know, Sonic Wave.
Yep. It's going to be difficult to grab that when the Scream should follow almost instantly. Fenrir actually being smoked up. He's here on a ward mission, leaving an aggressive ward behind the tier 1 tower where it used to be on the top lane. And March needs to charge away right now. Superstars with the Slave, they've still got Frostbite, and that's why March does not want to charge. And there will be too much damage dealt to him before he can get away. So they are able to find the kill on the Spirit Breaker, VG Gaming. At the same time, KP and Ice on bot lane. The battle continues as Ice does have this hookshot available. He's waiting for KP to blink away so then he can just lock him in. The battery assault, in fact, just goes directly for the hookshot. The blink, barely in the nick of time. Gets out of the cogs and away from the clockwork. QO did, of course, take that big flash farm as well with the rest of his team. So Weaver's up, Death Ward is up. MVP are getting a lot more team fight abilities.
It's always interesting to see when clock comes in close on a hero with mobility spells like Leap of Mirana, Blinks, to see how he plays it out. And Ice slightly overestimating his damage there. If he hooks just 1 second later, he probably finds that kill, but then it's possible KP is just blink behind the creep rate. You need to assess when you have the opportunity. And if nothing else, he forced him back to base, as he should know. There's pretty much nothing on the quad remaining as far as health goes, so he's almost going to secure his Blade Mail from this aggressive play. That's pretty early with Tranquil's minute 12.
Sad thing is for VG Gaming, they thought they would probably buy some space by sending that Queen of Pain back. But you've got a Haste Rune over on this Slug who's searching for a kill. Now, Hao was the best one he wants to go for, but they also noticed too that the Replicate was moving out. The smoke didn't break. That's why they know it's either a Replicate or an Illusion. And considering they picked up a Haste Rune, they're going to know it's a Replicate. But they're going to go deeper, as far deep in as they can. The lean is there, but there's no real reward. They've only just planted down a new one, so the only other choice they've got is to come in behind this tier 1 tower, where they'll find, in fact, both CM as well as Rubik walking into MVP. Fenrir, real trouble. They actually commit the Death Ward. The charge started on FY. Heavy commitment from MVP. They must have thought there'll be more coming, but QO wants to keep going. Back in behind the tower. In comes your charge. QO jumps in, gets that leech, and now FY being bashed around. 2 kills for MVP. They still got what they came for.
The Slark pick is so good in this game because VG supports are completely outmatched by this hero. They don't have any defensive abilities, they don't have any mobility whatsoever. So the moment QO comes in close, if he gets the pounce on Rubik or CM, they're dead. There's no counterplay until they get a Ghost Scepter, which is super far away for both of them.
In the words of Shiva, they're just so squishy on VG Gaming. This is the reason why we were thinking, like, even something like a Spectre would just be able to just pop in. The Lina, the CM, the Rubik would just take so much damage early on, but when you've got QO that keeps charging around, speaking of that, March going to have a move up towards Hal. He does have Waveform available. There's going to be your first hit. Strength morphing up already. There's no more support coming here, and he'll make a replica so we can play the positional game. And March just needs to run himself out, but QO on the way in, going to go for the Dark Pack. And up on the back of Morphling. Remember, he's still going to get this charge, but unless he gets perma-bashed right now, he's not going to die. But there's just 17%, he's still got the replicate waveform up. And the jump away to safety. He had 12-1 charges up his sleeve as well.
How ice cold have you got to be to use waveform first, instead of just replicating out immediately there? Wow. That was really, really close. With a little bit extra luck there from March, they would have been able to grab Hal. But they sent him back to base. Again, some good aggression coming out from MVP. And the good news for VG Gaming is that they obviously don't know this for sure right now, but they've got to have a pretty good feeling that Hal is ahead as far as farm goes. He does have the highest net worth in the game right now.